A lot of people, a lot of educational institutions don't like the idea of it here in the United States, yet it's growing. What do you think of that?
I think it's important, Ivory, for your viewers to understand that here in the so-called land of the free, homeschooling freedom has really only been a fairly recent thing in the last few decades. It was, in fact, in the 80s when a lot of state laws that had compulsory schooling laws, you could only go to the government schools, maybe sometimes the private schools, those started to get loosened up as a result of a lot of court rulings, primarily led by the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. So this freedom that families have had, the data that you pointed to at the beginning of the segment, from this study and the increase in the rise of homeschooling is an exciting thing, but it's a very new thing. Of course, early America was frankly homeschooling everywhere. Then we had this centralization throughout the 1900s under government schools. I think it's a huge opportunity and a big win for the future of America that we're now returning to a more parent-empowered, parent-involved education model.
I was actually homeschooled myself, and it was always a little bit of concern for my mom that people would judge her and say she's not adequately educating us kids, that Child Protective Services might show up and take us, because this has happened. Fortunately, it never happened to my family, but there are families it happened to.
Oh, yeah.
So how do families, if they want to get into homeschooling, how can they ensure they're doing it successfully and that they don't get the government sicked on them?
So I speak at a lot of homeschooling conferences, and this question comes up again and again. The problem is that most homeschooling parents were not homeschooled like you. They went through the system. They are graduates of what I like to call the public fool system. And so they've got all that baggage and they've got all those biases of how education works. So what I typically tell parents is that if you're going to go on this new journey and start to do this home education model, you have to unlearn a lot of things. You have to just start from scratch, just read to your kids. Don't have huge expectations and set all these curriculum standards and micromanage your kids. Just allow your kids' natural curiosities and natural desire to learn to take the lead.